Welcome to my channel. Have you ever wondered who among the greatest wizards of the wizarding world possessed the most remarkable magical abilities? In today's video, you will learn why Severus Snape was stronger than both Voldemort and Dumbledore in certain areas of magic. Severus Snape is one of the most memorable, controversial, and tragic characters in the entire Harry Potter saga. For most of the series, he was seen as an antagonist, if not the main villain, then certainly an unpleasant figure. But in the end, the truth about his past changed everything. What once seemed like cruelty and vengeance turned out to be love and devotion. What appeared as coldness and disdain was, in fact, a deep sense of duty and sacrifice. Some even called Snape a coward, but few characters demonstrated more bravery than he did. Deceiving the most dangerous dark wizard of all time for years, how many could have done that? Yet, despite all of this, Snape's incredible magical abilities are often overlooked. And that's a mistake. He was not just a skilled wizard, he was a genius in multiple fields of magic. Let's dive into what made Severus Snape one of the greatest wizards of his time. Severus Snape was born into a troubled family. His mother was a witch, his father a muggle, and their home life was filled with tension. From a young age, Snape was reserved and introverted, struggling with insecurities and poverty. But he was also brilliant. Even before attending Hogwarts, he formed a close bond with Lily Evans, the future mother of Harry Potter. Their friendship, however, was tested when they were sorted into different houses, Snape into Slytherin and Lily into Gryffindor. Despite his love for Lily, Snape gravitated toward a group of Slytherins who later became Death Eaters. He never truly fit in, yet he remained loyal to Voldemort until the Dark Lord made one fatal mistake. When Voldemort killed Lily, Snape was devastated. In her memory, he secretly allied with Dumbledore, dedicating his life to protecting Harry, even if it meant acting as a double agent for both sides. His final moments were spent ensuring Harry had everything he needed to defeat Voldemort once and for all. But what truly set Snape apart was his mastery of magic. He was not just an exceptional wizard, he was a prodigy. As a student, he was already inventing his own spells, something no other Hogwarts student had ever done. His skill in potions was unmatched, surpassing even the most talented alchemists. He was a formidable duelist, a master of dark arts, and a true expert in magical defenses. Snape's knowledge of the dark arts was deeper than even Dumbledore's. The headmaster often sought his counsel on the subject, recognizing Snape's unparalleled expertise. But what made Snape even more impressive was his ability to counter dark magic. No one in Hogwarts history taught defense against the dark arts as effectively as he did. When it came to curses, Snape was in a league of his own. He was the only wizard capable of delaying Dumbledore's death after the headmaster was struck by a deadly curse from Voldemort's Horcrux. He was also the only one who could neutralize the powerful curse placed on Katie Bell. And then there was occlumency, the ability to shield one's mind from intrusion. Voldemort was a master of legilimency, the art of reading minds, but Snape outclassed even him in mental defenses. The Dark Lord, despite his immense power, never once saw through Snape's deception. For years, Snape stood before Voldemort, lied to his face, and never got caught. That alone makes him one of the most skilled wizards of all time. In the end, Snape surpassed Dumbledore in at least 2 fields of magic and outmatched Voldemort in 1. That alone secures his place as one of the greatest wizards in history. Severus Snape's brilliance wasn't just about his mastery of spells or potions. It was in the way he understood magic itself. He saw beyond what was written in textbooks, experimented, improved, and created. While others followed instructions, he rewrote them. The notes he scribbled in his old potions textbook were proof of his genius. Slughorn, an expert in the field, praised young Snape's talent, but even he never realized how far his student had gone. The Half-Blood Prince's improvements to standard potion-making techniques were not just small adjustments. They were game-changers, subtle modifications that made potions more effective, more stable, or even gave them entirely new properties. But Snape's talent wasn't limited to potions. He was also an exceptional duelist, though he rarely had the chance to prove it in open combat. Unlike many wizards, he didn't rely on brute force or flashy attacks. His style was calculated, precise, and incredibly efficient. When he fought McGonagall at Hogwarts, he wasn't simply trying to win, he was holding back. He deflected her attacks, countered her spells, and despite being outnumbered, he escaped without a scratch. He was not only skilled but had remarkable control over his power. Then there was his ability to perform non-verbal magic. Many skilled wizards needed to speak their spells to cast them effectively. Snape didn't. His control over his magic was so refined that he could duel, create shields, and launch attacks without uttering a single word. This required immense concentration and a deep connection with his magical abilities, something only a handful of wizards ever achieved. Another overlooked aspect of Snape's strength was his emotional resilience. People often discuss courage in terms of battle, but what about the courage to endure suffering? Snape spent decades in agony, living with the knowledge that the love of his life had died because of his mistakes. Every day he had to look at Harry, a painful reminder of what he had lost. Yet he never wavered. He never sought comfort, never asked for forgiveness, never strayed from the path he had chosen. Even when he was hated by everyone around him, even when Dumbledore asked him to carry out the most painful task of all, he did it. Not for power, not for recognition, but for love and duty. Snape was also a master strategist. His role as a double agent was not just dangerous, it was nearly impossible. Voldemort was not easily deceived. He could sense lies, manipulate minds, and punish the smallest hint of betrayal. Yet Snape stood beside him, feeding him just enough truth to gain trust while carefully hiding his true allegiance. He played a deadly game, navigating between two of the most powerful wizards in history, and he won. When the time came, Voldemort believed him over everyone else. That alone speaks volumes about Snape's skill, intelligence, and ability to manipulate those around him. Another remarkable thing about Snape was his mastery of legilimency and occlumency. While Voldemort was considered one of the greatest legilimens, Snape was an even greater occlumens. The ability to block someone from reading thoughts is one thing, but to completely deceive the most dangerous mind reader in history is another. Snape didn't just hide information, he constructed a perfect illusion. Voldemort believed that Snape despised Harry, that his loyalty was absolute, that his every action was in service to the Dark Lord. Not once did he suspect that Snape's true allegiance belonged to Lily Potter's memory. It's often said that Snape was a tragic hero, but he was also a magician, unlike any other. His spells were original, his tactics were unique, and his intellect was unparalleled. Even Dumbledore, with all his wisdom, relied on Snape's knowledge when it came to dark magic. Despite his bitterness and cynicism, Snape never used his power for personal gain. He never sought recognition, never demanded respect, never asked for sympathy. His entire life was dedicated to a mission only he understood. Some argue that Snape's cruelty overshadowed his good deeds, that he was unfair to students, too harsh, too cold, but that cruelty was part of his disguise. He needed to be feared. He needed to keep up his persona to ensure that no one, neither the Order of the Phoenix nor the Death Eaters, ever suspected where his true loyalties lay. And yet, beneath that harsh exterior, he was the only professor who truly prepared his students for real danger. His lessons in defense against the dark arts were not just theoretical, they were practical. He taught survival, not just spells. Snape's legacy is often reduced to his love for Lily Potter, but that is only a fraction of what made him extraordinary. His magical prowess was beyond extraordinary. His intelligence was razor-sharp. His bravery was unmatched. When the story of Harry Potter is told, Snape's name deserves to be mentioned among the greatest wizards of all time. And perhaps in the end that is his greatest tragedy. He never sought glory, he never asked for recognition. He did what needed to be done, knowing that history would never remember him as a hero, but those who truly understand the depth of his sacrifice and the magnitude of his skill know the truth. Severus Snape was not just a great wizard, he was one of the greatest.